the fourth Sunday of Easter. And in this part of the country, it's getting more and more like spring. Like a lot of things, growing things are rising. Today's gospel is not Good Shepherd gospel. Jesus is not saying he's the Good Shepherd in this gospel. This is chapter 10. It's very important to remember that at the end of chapter 9, where Jesus has cured the blind man, the Pharisees say, are we blind? And Jesus said, well, yeah. Those who stand in my light can see, and those who don't stand in my light are blind. So he hits them with that. And then this gospel, the next verses, and he's talking to them. And they don't understand exactly the challenge and the confrontation. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Jesus is the gate. He says that, I am the gate. And those who do not come into the community through the gate are robbers and thieves. They climb over the fence. They come in according to their own agendas. So this is just a little history of what's going on in John's community, which is 60, 70 years after the resurrection. I'm not exactly sure, but it's quite a time. So the community that John is forming, the followers of Jesus, are still in conflict with the Jewish community, with the Jewish leaders especially. And to be in the John's church, the followers of Jesus' church, you have to go through Jesus to get there. That's very clear. And the sheep are the followers of Jesus, and they follow because they recognize the voice of the shepherd. Now the shepherds, remember this is not Jesus, the shepherds are the leaders of the church, of John's church. So if you enter through Jesus into the community, you will follow the shepherds, the leaders of the church, because you recognize the voice of Jesus in the leaders. That's pretty much what the gospel is talking about. So it's about early church community knowing the voice of Jesus and realizing that there are people who might distract people in the community to leave the community, to not trust the gate and the person of Jesus. Okay, what's moving in me is about listening to the voice of Jesus. You know, there in John's Gospel in chapter 3, God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son. God so loved the world that he didn't send a book. I once was on staff of a Jesuit house, and the three of us were the team. They said, somebody put up a sign, God so loved the world that he didn't send a team. Little anti-authority people. God sent his Son to help us, believe it or not, to help us be guided by the relationship with Jesus. What I'm encouraging is, what is it to listen to Jesus, not as doctrine or teachings, but what is in us that flows from the relationship with Jesus. And we're really moving to listening, not to Jesus in the Gospels, but listening to Jesus in our own spirits, because we have encountered Jesus as the gate, as the one through whom we enter the Christian Catholic faith. This is not easy, what I'm going to say now. So hang on. What I'm really getting at is a term we use in Ignatian spirituality is discernment, is listening. And in the gospel, it says, the sheep follow because they recognize the voice of life, the voice of the speaking God. For us, it's really, if you can follow this, that our actions, what we do, is because of our attitude. Then the question is, how do you form attitudes? And I think it's because of a previous step where I ask questions and answer them. How you answer questions, certain questions, will form your attitude, and your actions will flow from that attitude. So, what kind of questions? Basically, what does the relationship that Jesus have with me answer the question, what is that? Who is that? What are these? The relationship with Jesus, the gate through which we enter into this Christian relationship that God has with us. Notice I emphasize God's relationship with us, not our relationship with God, because God is the initiator, the finder, the gate in Jesus. So what questions do we ask? Almost all the time. What is that? What is that to me? Or what is that to my spirit? How am I going to follow Jesus out of the sheepfold, following the shepherd? And so I say, well, in a way, everything is a gift from God. Everything is not mine. Everything is not centered around my convenience or my luxury. How you answer questions will determine how you relate with them, how you employ them or how you misuse them. So actions flow from how you answer the question, which form your attitude. And that's what Jesus is saying in this. Listen to me, but listen to your spirit, discernment. Listen to what is creative. Maybe it's this simple. The evil spirit enters, climbs over, doesn't go through the gate, and calls us to things that are destructive. And the good spirit, the teachings of that is offered through the relationship that Jesus has with us, they're creative. So in discernment is not what's most pleasant for me or what's most self-centered. It is what is most creative. Now listen to this. It's not how can I be creative, but the mutual creation. What can I do that will also be an experience of creation of me? That's not selfish. Because what's created in me, how I am created, will be the beginning of generosity. So we're always discernment is always about creation or destruction. And the evil one wants to destroy us little by little by little as creative extensions of the creating God. That's it. How can I go out following Jesus to be creative? in relationships, very simple, smile, encouragement, listening. How can I go out and help God create you? And how can I go out by helping you that God is creating me? I'm not just I'm not just a finished creator that I'm creating you. God is creating all the time. And so it's, the questions then is, where am I being called to be an agent of continuing God's creation? And will I be created? But will I be created is not selfish, because the more I am created, the more I will be available for God's creation through me. And so, as sheep, we listen. But we are asked to listen to the shepherd, to hear what's going on in me. How am I being called? Not because Father said so or the bishop says so, as true as they might be, but I have to value what's in me to do, considering the teachings of the shepherds and my relationship that Jesus has with me. So my actions, what I do, is because I went inside me, within the sheepfold, listening to Jesus. How am I being an agent of creation? It doesn't have to be big things. But the thieves and the robbers want me to not do anything. Stay in the shelter of the shepherd's flock. Don't be an agent of creation. Loving, forgiving, consoling, visiting, healing, all those things. And it's very natural to us if we are freed to listen to the shepherd within me. What is the good spirit calling me to? And what are there are evil spirits, and they're within us and around us. What's calling me to be self-centered and not entering, not destroying, but not entering into creation? That's what the evil spirits say. No, don't do that. Why not? Well, because the invitation then is to listen to the evil spirit who says, don't do it, and to listen to the good spirit that says, do something. And in the doing of what the good spirit wants us to do, in the doing, there will be creation on both sides. The Pharisees don't want to hear that. They didn't want to hear about Jesus doing something good to the man born blind. The leaders whom he calls thieves and robbers, they were blind and then there were thieves and robbers. That's quite a condemnation, quite a confrontation. Jesus puts it out there. You are thieves and robbers, and I am calling my people to listen inside, to listen to the good voice of the shepherd. He is the gate. We enter the relationship that God has with us through the gate for the purpose of creation, to continue God in our times.